Imagine yourself on top of a sacred mountain, surrounded by thick clouds, thunder echoing, and the sound of a powerful voice reverberating in the air. This is the extraordinary scenario in which Moses found himself upon receiving a revelation that would forever change the history of humanity: the Ten Commandments. These laws, delivered directly by God at Mount Sinai, not only guided the people of Israel, but became the moral and spiritual foundation for millions of people over the centuries. Briefly but forcefully, these commandments encapsulate the divine will for human behavior, challenging us to live lives of respect, justice, and devotion. In this video, we will explore 5 powerful facts about the 10 Commandments in detail, revealing the lasting impact they have on our lives today. If you seek to better understand these divine laws and the depth of what they mean, stay with us. Get ready for a spiritual journey through time and God's Word. The first fact we need to highlight is that the 10 Commandments have direct origins in the voice of God. Unlike other laws that emerged in ancient cultures, which were formulated by leaders or kings, these laws were pronounced by the Creator Himself. In Exodus 20, God calls Moses to Mount Sinai, and amid thunder and lightning personally delivers these laws that would serve as moral guidelines for the people of Israel. But why is this so significant? Because it demonstrates that morality is not a concept created by man, but something intrinsic to the divine will. By receiving the commandments directly from God, the Hebrew people were called to live a life in accordance with the standards established by the Creator Himself. This sacred origin gives the 10 Commandments unquestionable authority and guarantees that they transcend human laws, being valid for all times and circumstances. The 10 Commandments can be divided into 2 parts. The first 4 commandments focus on human beings' relationship with God, while the last 6 deal with our responsibilities towards others. This division reflects a fundamental balance in the Judeo-Christian faith: loving God and loving others. In the first commandments, God asserts His uniqueness, prohibiting the worship of other gods and the creation of images. He also commands the sanctification of the Sabbath as a day of rest and communion with the Creator. This first part emphasizes the need to put God first in our lives, above any other priority. In the second part, the commandments instruct us to honor our parents, not to kill, not to commit adultery, not to steal, not to lie, and not to covet what belongs to others. These laws reinforce the importance of mutual respect, integrity, and justice in human relationships. By living according to these principles, we are called to reflect God's character in our dealings with others. Another fundamental fact is that the 10 Commandments are part of a solemn pact between God and the people of Israel. In the Old Testament, the covenant is a central concept. When God gave the commandments to Moses, He was making a special agreement with His people, promising blessings in exchange for obedience. By accepting the commandments, the Hebrew people were committing themselves to live according to divine laws, becoming a holy nation and a chosen people. Exodus 19:6. This pact goes beyond simple obedience. It represents a dynamic relationship between God and His people. Even today, many see the 10 Commandments as a reminder of God's call to a life of faithfulness, integrity, and holiness. They are not just rules, but an invitation to live in communion with the Creator, experiencing His blessings as you follow His ways. Some people may question whether the 10 Commandments are still relevant in a modern world. The answer is a resounding yes. Even in an era of technological advances and social change, the principles set forth in these commandments remain universal. The prohibition against killing, stealing, or committing adultery are norms that continue to sustain modern societies. The command to honor parents and not to covet still resonates deeply in family and ethical issues. Furthermore, the relationship with God expressed in the first commandments remains essential for millions of believers. Exclusive worship of God and respect for His name are foundations of monotheistic faith. Sabbath rest, although interpreted differently among denominations, is still seen as a necessary time for spiritual renewal. Finally, a fact that cannot be ignored is that Jesus reaffirmed the 10 Commandments and expanded on them in His ministry. In the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:7, Jesus not only confirms the validity of the laws, but He goes further, revealing the spiritual depth behind each commandment. When he talks about "thou shalt not kill," for example, Jesus teaches that even anger and hatred toward others violate the spirit of the law. Jesus also summarizes all the commandments into two great principles: loving God with all your heart and loving your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:37-40. In this way, he highlights that the 10 Commandments are not just external rules, but a reflection of a transformed heart that seeks to live in love and justice. The 10 Commandments are not just a set of ancient laws set in stone. They are a timeless expression of divine will for humanity. They remind us of the importance of honoring God and living in harmony with others. By following these commandments, we align ourselves with God's purposes, experiencing a life of peace, justice, and communion. As we continue our spiritual journey, it is critical to return to these basic principles, allowing them to guide our actions and thoughts. God has given us a manual for life, and the 10 Commandments are the key to understanding and living according to His perfect plan for each of us. May we, like the people of Israel on Mount Sinai, hear God's voice and respond with obedience and faith.